I want to start with the AL West leader. The Houston Astros could have a number of starting pitchers returning in the second half of the season. They have a lead in the AL West. Jeremy Pena and Yordan Alvarez should return at some point in this second half of the season. Do you think they will be aggressive buyers? Because the American League has been kind of weak the past couple years, and who knows, maybe the Astros mess around and end up in the World Series again, right?
Yeah. Certainly can't rule that out. And I do think they will be aggressive, and it's going to be really interesting to see what they try to accomplish. Chandler Rome, The Athletic, and of our network, speculated that they would go for Merrill Kelly, strengthen the rotation further, because you don't know what you're getting from Christian Vasquez and Luis Garcia and the pitchers who are coming back. You can't be sure of that. So why not strengthen your strength, put Kelly with Framber Valdez and Hunter Brown, and then you really have something. We know they have a great back end of the bullpen. Their offense, once Alvarez is with them, should be okay. The one thing that they've also needed and have talked about is a second baseman, and preferably a left-handed hitting second baseman. If the Rays over the next 10 days falter, maybe they make Brandon Lau available, but I'm putting two and two together here. I have no idea whether that would happen. But yes, to answer your question, Scott, I do expect them to be aggressive.
All right, I think we have to check to see if my mic is on or if anybody's mic is on in Seattle. Jerry DiPoto? Like, is this thing on? Like, we haven't seen any moves from Jerry DiPoto. What can we see from Seattle that needs to, like, get this team over the hump and get this vaunted pitching staff in the playoffs?
Eric, we haven't really seen any moves from anyone, so I don't think we should single out Jerry DiPoto or any other president of baseball operations or head of baseball operations at this point. It's July 18th. We are 13 days away, and really there have only been a couple of very minor deals so far. Now, to the question of what Seattle needs and what they want, they've been talking about a corner infield bat. Could it be Eugenio Suarez? Could it be Josh Naylor? Someone along those lines, and I would expect that they're going to be active along those fronts. Now, could they do other things as well? Could they strengthen the bullpen? Could you maybe even add a starter? Jerry DiPoto is the kind of head of baseball operations I put nothing past, and you never know what they might think of, but the rotation still seems to be a strength now that pretty much they are healthy, except for Bryce Miller, and offense is where they could really make the biggest upgrade. The question with all of these things that we're going to talk about for the next 2 weeks, guys, is where is the quality in this market? Where are the good players that are available? They're not that much of a supply. There's not that much of a supply right now. And that is the issue. That's the problem that teams are going to face. There are some executives predicting it's going to be a boring deadline because just of what I said. There are not that many good players available, and it's going to be tough for teams even to pry away some of the ones that are.
What are you hearing about the market for Luis Robert? Obviously, 2023 All-Star and super phenom coming up, possibly in the last 2 years, have been a dud. But what have you been hearing out there about his availability, but also his desire from other teams to want him?
He's highly available. And the White Sox, Eric, hold a $20 million club option on him for next year. They're not exercising that option. So you have to trade Luis Robert Jr. to get anything in return for him. And I mean anything, whatever it might be. Now, if you're the White Sox, you will tell teams, hey, still a great defender or good defender in center field, steals a lot of bases, of course has to get on base to steal bases, but we believe he can still be a contributor for your contending team. Contenders are going to say in response, he's hitting 190 or whatever the number is, and we're not paying a premium for this dude, especially when he's got some money coming to him. So I expect he'll be traded. I don't expect he's going to bring back a lot, and I expect the team that acquires him will say, change of scenery, maybe it will do him good. If you look at what happened with Andrew Vaughn in Milwaukee, Andrew Vaughn was one of the worst offensive players in the league, and suddenly he is a significant contributor for the Brewers. Now, maybe it's only one good week, I get it, but at the same time, maybe getting guys out of there and having them join a new team, a contending team, that will refresh them and bring them perhaps to a greater level of performance.
Do you know, maybe this is something that's way out of your scope, but Luis Robert, his contract, you said about they have a team option to pick it up. If he gets traded, does he have the opportunity to say, hey, I want them to pick up this trade. I don't know if it's like no trade clause, any of that stuff. Would teams be afraid to then not trade for him if that were the case?
I would expect that if he gets traded, Eric, the team that acquires him will be operating under the premise that they're not picking up the option. Now, maybe he goes nuts in the final 2 months and you say, you know what? I'll take it for $20 million next year. But what are the odds of that? I don't think they're very high. So there's no trade clause as far as I know. He can't demand them to pick up an option, and teams would laugh at him if he did that anyway. So that's my expectation, that any team that acquires him looks at him as a rental.
A lot of AL teams hovering over that 500 mark, as we've seen. It's going to be a battle to the finish. It's exciting for baseball, exciting for everybody that's a baseball fan. Do you know any sellers or buyers right now of those AL teams, or is it wait and see closer to the deadline as we get there?
Todd, there are a number of teams that are waiting to see, and I will go through them as quickly as I can in the American League. The Boston Red Sox, they're buyers. But the Tampa Bay Rays, after losing 12 of 16, they don't know where they are. Next 10 days are critical for them. Minnesota and Cleveland, 4.5 games out in the wild card race. Next 10 days also critical for them. And even Kansas City, which just acquired Adam Frazier and clearly wants to compete. If things go south for them in the next 10 days, they're going to have to look at trading Seth Lugo. And then you get to the Western Division. The Texas Rangers are another team that are kind of in this, we're not quite sure who we are. They want to contend. They have built this team to be a really good team, and it hasn't happened. So if they do not fire in the next couple of days and weeks, I would expect they're going to have to take a hard look at some things too, and maybe consider themselves more of a seller.
Ken, I'll flip over to the National League. I like this term that you use sometimes, belle of the ball. Do you think the Pirates might end up as that team because they do have assets in Dennis Santana and David Bednar in the back end of the bullpen? If there aren't significant starters available, like let's say the Diamondbacks go on a run the next 10 days, they take their guys off the market. Mitch Keller might be the best starting pitcher available at the trade deadline. Do you think the Pirates could be this very popular team?
I do. And it's not just Mitch Keller, of course. It's Ke'Bryan Hayes. It's Brian Reynolds. It's the two relievers you mentioned. They could do a number of things. Now, will they do them? I don't know. And they're in a really good position with Keller in particular because of the shortage of starting pitchers. Who is the Max Scherzer of this year's deadline? There is none. So you're looking at Sandy Alcantara, who has struggled. Zach Gowen, who has struggled. Merrill Kelly is good. The Diamondbacks probably will only trade one of Kelly and Gowen if they trade at all. And then there's Mitch Keller and maybe a few others. Adrian Hauser with the White Sox, Charlie Morton with the Orioles. It's not a killer group by any stretch of the imagination. So, Scott, to answer your question, yes, the Pirates do hold a lot of pieces. They have no reason to hold on to them. And I would expect, because they've made it known that the only untouchables are Skeens and McCutchen, that they will be quite active.
One more team in that division, let's say the Cardinals fall off over the next 10 days. Do you think they could open things up with a Ryan Helsley and maybe even a Sonny Gray? What was he saying, Kratz, that he would maybe consider a trade at the deadline?
He said no in the offseason, but possibly consider it at the trade deadline.
That would be a big name.
It would be. And they're a team to watch as well. They fall into that same uncertain category that I listed with the American League teams. Helsley is a guy, yes, if he became available, teams would love to have him. He'd be an easier pitcher or closer to acquire than Clase or Duran or Jax in the American League. Those guys have control left. You'd have to pay a higher price. Helsley would be a rental. The Cardinals are a team that has played beyond where they thought they would be, beyond where really everyone in the industry thought they would be. I don't expect John Mozeliak, as president of baseball operations, in his final year is going to want to concede if they're anywhere close. But yes, Scott, under the scenario that you just presented, if they fall off, sure, I would expect that they would open things up.
All right, let's go back to the Northeast here. We got to ask this question. Mets, Yankees also having a really good year. What do you see these two teams doing at the deadline? We know what the Yankees need, maybe a third baseman, maybe another starting pitcher. Mets, I mean, they can use another starter too as well. Like, what are their specific needs, and do you see both those teams getting after it?
The Yankees are definitely going to get after it. Brian Cashman has said we're going to town, and they have very obvious needs. Starting pitcher being one, bullpen help being perhaps the most important thing that they can do, and yes, the third baseman as well, especially now with Jazz back at second, and they don't really get any offense out of Peraza at third. So they want to improve in all of those areas. The Mets are a little bit different, that they can do some things too and will. Bullpen, I would expect, would be their primary area of focus. Yes, certainly they could use a starter given the situation that they're in, but it's good to know with them, they've got Senga healthy now, they've got Manaea back, and Montas looks like he might be okay too. You put those three with David Peterson, I don't know that you need to play on a big starter. Maybe you just need a depth guy. And then they've also talked about center field and maybe Harrison Bader coming back, someone like that. So I expect them to be active as well, and their farm system is deeper than it was. So to get what they want, they might not have to trade their top guys. And in this market, I don't know that there's anybody worth your top guys. So we'll see how that plays out.
What phrase did Cashman use that you just said? What were his exact
Going
words?
to town.
Going to town. That doesn't sound like Brian Cashman at the trade deadline. That sounds like Yankees fans at the trade deadline thinking what Brian Cashman should do. So historically, he doesn't go to town. Is there a team that is going to be reckless at the trade deadline or should be reckless based on the fact that maybe this front office doesn't have a job anymore?
Well, the Yankees have been generally active at the deadline when they've had a chance. So going to town is not a phrase that I've heard him use before, but he has been active. He does not hesitate. The Toronto Blue Jays are a team that their front office has been under some scrutiny in recent years. And yes, their contracts are essentially up. Mark Shapiro this year as the team president, Ross Atkins next year as the general manager. Obviously, they are linked. They have the ability to do some things, to upgrade themselves, and they are willing, I am quite certain, to trade from their farm system to do so. And I don't know that I would say they're trying to save their jobs. Baseball executives don't operate like that too often. They are generally pretty responsible, trying to protect their team's present as well as their future. But the Jays are certainly motivated because they haven't played well in recent years. And here they are, finally back at the top of the division. And they've got a chance with this particular group of players to do something special. So yes, I don't know that they'll do anything reckless, but I expect them to be active and aggressive. The other team that we have to watch, because AJ Preller is so creative and aggressive always, is San Diego. And I don't know that they're going to go crazy and their system is not what it once was, and we don't know how much payroll flexibility they have, but they have a clear need in left field. They could certainly use another reliever because as good as their bullpen is with 3 All-Stars, and Estrada could have been an All-Star, those guys are all up near the league lead in appearances. And then a starting pitcher as well would be something that would behoove them, a controllable starter ideally, with Cease and King both eligible for free agency. I can't predict and will not predict what AJ Preller might do, but do I expect him to be busy? Oh yeah, always. That's what he does.
I think you should. I love their bullpen. I mean, that bullpen caused problems last year in the playoffs. Could have gotten them to a World Series. It was close. So I'm all for it. All right, 2 more to go, Ken. We're taking you away from the teams and the players specifically for some bigger picture topics. Actually, this one does involve a player, but it's not trade-wise. I was crushed, annihilated yesterday when we went through your athletic notes column, okay? And we were going down the line and we got to the Kyle Tucker conversation. AJ and Kratz bullied me like never before on this show, saying I was absolutely insane for even considering that Kyle Tucker would ever sign with the Rays based on a new owner coming in and spending money like that. Can you help defend me since you actually put the article out? And I bought into it. I said, it's not the craziest thing in the world. Is it likely? No, but we don't know this guy. And sometimes owners come in and spend big.
I don't know why you would be bullied over that. It was speculative, yes, but yes, that's the whole thing. Kyle Tucker's from Tampa. He is a guy that is kind of quiet to himself, doesn't necessarily need the bright lights. And if an owner came in and was willing to pay Kyle Tucker, admittedly, that's a long shot, no matter who the owner is in Tampa Bay because of their market. I can't imagine he wouldn't entertain the idea. And if you remember a couple of years ago, they went pretty big for Freddie Freeman. Now, $150 million, which is what they were offering Freddie, is different than $400 to $500, which is what Kyle Tucker is going to get. I understand all that. But there's no reason you should have been bullied about this. It was merely a note, and not even the lead note in a column, and just kind of an idea to throw out there for people to kind of think about. I didn't present it as anything that's going to happen, but it's an intriguing thought, because once they do get a new owner, I would expect the new owner is going to act differently than the previous owner. Whether he goes out and signs a Kyle Tucker, that's another question entirely. But yeah, when a new owner comes in, generally things change.
I was getting a side eye from Kratz just now, but Ken, they even came back with me at one point and said new owners take time, and I gave them Cohen and Mark Walter. They said that doesn't count. Then we both brought up the Orioles, but wait, the Orioles, they're like, well, that hasn't worked out. Wait, the Orioles upped their payroll by $50 million. Yeah, they spent. So he actually put money forward. They just did it wrong.
Yeah, I believe their payroll increased by the second highest amount last year. Now, did they spend? Well, that's another question. But he did come in and spend. It wasn't like they went crazy. They didn't re-sign Corbin Burns, but they did spend some money. Yes.
They offered Corbin Burns some cash.
They did.
They offered
Corbin Burns a big offer. It was $4,180. That's a big offer.
It would have been the highest AAV, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes. It was, but it wasn't the years.
Thank you, Ken. I appreciate you being on our side, because one, we didn't bully him. You were on our side. You understand
he's not on your side.
He's 100% on our side.
I'm not on your side. He knows on Scott's side.
Thank you.
You brought up the exact same argument that I had. Freddie Freeman for 150 is way different than Kyle Tucker.
No, that's true.
So you're on our side and you don't even know it. So you're a bully to Scott also.
All right, Ken, last one. Okay, let's see if we can find common ground here. Topic of the day. Should we push the trade deadline back 2 weeks?
I know that's a hot topic, and I understand where it comes from, because by August 15th, things would be clearer than they're going to be perhaps on July 31st. The problem I have with pushing the deadline back is the impact wouldn't be the same. And you're getting a guy for 6 weeks instead of 2 months. I know it's not that much of a difference, but the action wouldn't be quite what it is now. You wouldn't give up the same quality of prospect for 6 weeks on a rental, for instance. So I'm not for it. I understand the sentiment. And in this particular case, let's look at this year's deadline. Even if we have more clarity on August 15th, I don't know that we're going to have many better players available. So I am not in favor of that. And I know the argument and understand the argument for it. And there's a valid argument there. But in my view, it's more exciting to force teams to make decisions with 2 months to go. And you get better prospects involved. You get just more interesting trades.
Okay, fair point. I see both sides.
Me and Ken were on the same
By the way,
page.
Eric, this is the first time I have ever been accused of being a bully. I'm 5'4", 140. It doesn't really happen too often where people call me a bully.
It's exciting.
Listen, I saw you, Ken. I saw you at the All-Star break. You can be a bully. You can be a bully, and I like it. I like that side of you. You're standing up taller now that you feel like a bully.
Yeah, except he doesn't agree with you. So good try. Our 2 6-foot billion catchers picking on me, but I can take them. Thank you, Ken. Have a great weekend. We'll catch you on Fair Territory on Monday.
Thanks, guys.